Hello, George here from Fish Alaska to talk to you about how to make a halibut leader that doesn't involve a circle hook. For those of you who have done any halibut fishing on the West Coast, you've probably had the experience of trying to hook up fish on a circle hook and maybe had difficulty getting the fish hooked. Well, this rig, generally you're going to get the fish if it bites. The downside to this rig, I'll warn you in advance, is we're using a big hook. It's not like a circle hook, so the fish could be hooked anywhere in the corner of the jaw, in the roof of the mouth, back in the throat or the gills. So before you deploy this kind of a leader for halibut, you should be committed to keeping whatever halibut you hook, because chances are they might be hooked deep. To tie this, you're going to need some sort of heavy monofilament or fluorocarbon. This is Toughline's XD 150-pound fluorocarbon. Another line that I use a lot is Izorline's Premium. This is a 135-pound test. What you use is entirely up to you. The heavier it is, generally, the more durable it's going to be. Other than that, it doesn't really matter that much. And halibut aren't really concerned with whether or not they can see your line. In fact, we often use ganglion cord when we make these things. For hooks, some sort of big J hook like these are good choices. The Maruto hooks, the Gamakatsu Big River Bait hooks, the Daiichi hooks, all with a sickle bend, are the way to go in my opinion. And I'll tie this example using the Daiichi hooks. Other pieces that we're going to need in addition to about 3 feet of line, our hook, are a crimp suitable for the diameter of line that you're using. Glow-in-the-dark corkies, size 6. If you want, a scent chamber of some sort, and then a hoochie of some sort. The beauty of this sort of rig is if they do happen to steal your bait, you've still got something down there that looks good and smells good that they'll bite, even if your bait's been stolen. This is a P-line hoochie. Sometimes I use different kinds of hoochies like this big chase bait deal, and no matter what I'm doing, if I'm fishing water that's fairly deep, I like glow. Halibut seem to like glow a lot. So the first thing we got to do is put our hook on, and it's a pretty simple process. What I'm going to do is basically double the line around the hook shank, like so, and pull it up. And I'm actually going to crimp this on rather than tie it. The heavier the monofilament you use, the more important it is to crimp, because you simply will not be able to tie a bumper knot or something like that once the line gets thick enough. When I use the 135-pound Izorline, a lot of times I'll tie it on because I can tie 135-pound test pretty good. So we'll slide our crimp down. These crimps are made by Izorline. They're very small, very unobtrusive, but I've landed numerous halibut over 100 pounds using these little crimps, so I know that they're enough. So I'll position the crimp on the line, like so. Make sure you use the correct style of crimpers. This is the kind that you want with these kind of aluminum sleeves. Crimp it on. And what you can do with this, if you're on the boat or something like that, you can actually hook this around a cleat or something like that and basically pull as hard as you can pull with your hands, and you'll know whether or not it's strong enough to hold. So that's going to hold just fine. Now this crimp creates a little bit of spacing. It also provides 2 lengths of the line to provide a little bit more abrasion resistance, which is always a good thing. You don't want to have to change leaders every time you hook a fish. So next we're going to slide on a corky. And for this particular rig, I'll imagine I am going to use a scent chamber with it. We'll thread on the scent chamber, and I like to put the scent chamber on such that the end that opens is away from the hook, like this. Another corky. And last but not least, we need to thread on our squid. I usually cut off the end of the, I'll bite it. Cut off the end of the squid there so we have a little hole in it and we can thread it on. So what we wind up with is actually a fairly big bait. You can pull the corky, if you pull hard enough it'll slide right up in there, but it all hangs together pretty good. You notice the hook where your bait's going to go will be right at the end of the hoochie. Still provides some attraction in the event that you lose your bait, especially if you have a scent chamber. Because if you fill that with something like Procure Herring Super Gel or Procure Butt Juice Super Gel, this thing's still fishing for sure. This last step you don't have to do, but I like to do it. And that is I'm going to install basically a little grommet in the end of the leader so that this thing becomes a little bit more modular. When I need a new one, I can just clip it on. It's already ready to go. So we need another crimp. Slide that on like that. Now, obviously you can adjust this for the length of leader that you want. I kind of like that length, that's pretty good. It could be a little bit shorter and still be just fine. I don't think I'd want one any longer than that though. So there you have it. Pre-tied halibut leader. What I'll usually do before I, let's say I'm going to Sitka for a few days, I'll probably tie up, 3 of these, maybe 4 of these in advance just for myself. If I'm taking relatives or something like that, I'll try to have 3 or 4 of these for each person. The big thing is, because they take these deep sometimes and the bite is fast and furious, if I bring a fish up and it's obviously hooked deep, I'm going to kill it, so I pull it in the boat. I just unclip the leader and clip a new one onto my rod, and I worry about getting this out of the fish when I'm back at the cleaning dock. So there you have it. Just a halibut leader, very simple and effective to make, very effective. And for people who are having trouble hooking fish with circle hooks, you won't miss very many with this thing, I promise.